If Christmas Day was every day, we'd all be bored of Christmas. You love it because it's one day. You love your birthday because it's one day. You couldn't take that type of... Holidays are... All-inclusive holidays are amazing. If you were there for 2 or 3 months, you'd die actually of a heart attack, all the food you eat, but it wouldn't feel like a holiday. It'd be life. And that's the point. Some things need to be special. And England versus Brazil, for me, World Cup, that's where that should be. You know, once we're in another semi-final or a final again, because, you know, we're one of the best teams in the world now.
Excuse me?
We are.
Yes, guys, we are back with the Neeks Sports Podcast, episode 4, and it's the international break, and that's what we're going to be speaking about. I'm here with, of course, Kyle, our resident guest here on Neeks Sports, and Terry from the Football Terrace.
Yeah, it's weird sitting in this chair, bruv. Rather than you in mine. It's a weird dynamic.
I am the captain now. The topics we're talking about today, I said, is the international break. So it's all to do with international football and thereabouts. First, we're going to talk about the UEFA Nations League and international friendlies in general. What is the point of them? Wayne Rooney, the legend that is, some may agree, some may disagree. Where does he rank among the England greats? And VAR, we've heard that it's going to be introduced into the Premier League next season as well as the Champions League. Are we for or against? So first, we're going to start UEFA Nations League. Terry, is it coming on?
It could be. It could be, you know. It's I quite like the Nations League, actually. I was when it first got announced, I was confused with what it actually is and what it meant, so I didn't really understand it. But looking at it now, and I think the idea is it's going to phase out friendlies. Eventually, there'll be no.
I think there will still be
or minimal.
Yeah, there minimal friendly. There will still be the odd one here or there.
What stood out to me, if you watched the game against America on the Thursday night, which was a typical friendly, the difference in the atmosphere and the noise from the crowd for that game compared to the Croatia game demonstrated an extra ounce of competitiveness which you need. And on top of that, it means England will hopefully, if we remain in the top 2 groups over the course of time, A and B, we're consistently playing against better footballing nations. Often when you get the Euro qualifiers, you're just playing the same tired teams, average teams.
You get probably one good team in your group, and then you get Luxembourg, San Marino, and then if you get Slovenia away, that might be tough. You're never going to improve
playing against those sides. So I've quite enjoyed the tournament, but I think UEFA's got an opportunity here. Now, I don't know how they do this. It's not my job to know, but I think they could look at a way of making this tournament bigger, maybe taking away a lot more even qualifications for these major tournaments. And almost imagine if you're in Group A, you automatically qualify for tournaments. I mean, what great incentive that is for people in B and C to push up the levels and not want. You know,
but then would if we just take that for example, obviously it's a brief example. Those, if you automatically qualify, wouldn't that kind of take away from those teams kind of maybe trying their best to actually? The reason I say you take France 2002, and this is a time when World Cup the winners used to qualify automatically for the next World Cup, as well as the host nations. So between 1998 and 2002, between 2000, the Euros, and 2002, they played no competitive games. And they went into 2002 World Cup, and they was clearly unprepared. So I think even if you're in the top 8,
but you have to stay there. But you have to stay there. The point would be, let's just say you're in Group A, you're in there for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. For the 4th year, you drop out and you go into Group B. Then you have to. They work the timings out, but then you have to go into qualifications for the World Cup. So it will be competitive because you've got to stay in those top echelons to be able to qualify. Also, it means you get less. You know, we spoke about it during the World Cup. You'll get less of those minnows qualifying for these major tournaments, and you just have the biggest and the best teams there. Now, for me, I'm a bit of an elitist when it comes to international football. I want to see the biggest and the best there. I don't want to see the whipping boys get to a tournament, get slapped up 3 times in the group stages, or just play boring, negative, park the bus football. I don't want to see any of that.
No, and especially in Europe, you have like 16 teams qualifying, so you're obviously going to get 1 or 2 who are underdogs. You know, Republic of Ireland qualified 2002. They were underdogs.
Trash.
I know Wales didn't get through. Scotland 1998. Obviously they were underdogs as well.
And then we have underdog winners like Greece.
Well, yeah, in the Euros. We do. But all I was going to say is,
beat a lot of those
when
teams,
it comes to the World Cup, especially me living in Europe, having they are the biggest teams in Africa, the biggest teams in Asia, the biggest South America or Central America more. But having those, what people class as minnows, people like were cussing Saudi Arabia during the World Cup. And I'm like, no, but I want to experience this culture. They're fans. There's something different that we don't see.
I get that.
So yeah, in Europe, I understand, yeah, we don't need the Luxembourgs and San Marino because we see them every 2 years trying to qualify for Euros and failing. Then every 2 years again, trying to qualify for the World Cup after. But yeah, as far as other minnows go worldwide, I think it's definitely important to have those other cultures.
Bleat on too much, but I think what I've liked about the Nations Leagues as well is that, okay, you've got to work this system out. I think they can do more to improve it and sit down, and I haven't really put that much thought into it. But obviously everybody still has an opportunity to qualify for a major tournament. You just have to go into a qualifying process as well. What's been great is now you've got the smaller teams in the C's, D's, and whatever, even lower groups are, D, is you've got minnows playing minnows more regularly.
Yeah.
Which means you actually might see the likes. I watched, I think it was it Gibraltar or somebody won a game recently?
Yeah.
Those celebrations were mesmerising. And if San Marino go and pick up their first win, now that they're playing these small teams, that's going to be far more memorable for them than being beat 7-0
it should improve them because they're playing teams who are on their level, and you're more likely to improve playing Luxembourg as San Marino than you are playing England and getting beat 8-0 because by 20 minutes in the game's done and you're just like sitting back, there's no way you're going to be improving any kind of attacking. There's only so far San Marino can go anyway, but I mean, yeah, it gets ridiculous when you're watching those games. But Kyle, the reason I'm asking is because going into this international break, obviously I think most of the European teams had one UEFA Nations League game and one friendly. Yeah. But going into it, we had Martial qualified for the he got called up for the French team. He pulled out injured. Yeah. Lacazette came in to replace him. He pulled out injured. We had Pogba called up, injured. Now, all three of these players played a couple of days before for their clubs, and there was no sign of injury. They played 90 minutes, no issue. Sigurdsson and Gomez for Everton, they pulled out for Iceland and Portugal as well. Lukaku was apparently injured for Belgium. And even Wan-Bissaka, he pulled out for the under-21.
Well, Pogba might have been injured. He didn't play against City.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Pogba.
Yeah. No, but he was... Yeah, you're right. He got called up. So I'm like, is he fit? I don't know. Because even the City one was strange to me because he played the whole of the Juve game. Yeah, he did. And he didn't seem like he had it. But maybe Pogba was injured. But he was called up. Are these friendlies... Are they basically becoming a joke? Because it's like, if no one's going to actually turn up for them in the end... Especially when you've got a Nations League game as one of the games as well. Is it just a bit, I don't know, it's a bit farcical.
It is. Because, I mean, I've been looking at some of the games and some of the team selections have been, like, questionable. It's like, I don't know. Is it because it's, like, so soon after the World Cup? It's like, do you still want to push and burn these players out? Or do you want to give them a rest? Because normally, after the World Cup, it's generally, like, some friendlies and then you'll get some qualifiers.
Yeah.
And teams, clubs, they have the option to withdraw their players or not. Yeah. Whereas I don't know if they have the option with the Nations League.
Probably not, no. Because I guess it goes down a competitive game now.
So they don't.
But they'll just maybe nudge their players to say, just tell them you got a tight hamstring or something.
Exactly. Like that. So, I mean, because like, at the moment, the level that club football is at in terms of competitive, it's more important than international football except for World Cup and Euros. Unless it's World Cup and Euros, the actual final stages of the tournament, where it's club football is more important.
But that's a shame because international football is supposed to be...
It's a disgrace.
It's supposed to be the highest level of football. You're playing for your country. You're representing your country.
Two players you mentioned there as well, Lacazette and Martial. Look, Martial FC, they will scream and they have this audacious claim that Jose Mourinho owes Martial a World Cup winners medal. Although I think with all respect the opinion and the viewpoints of Marcel Desailly, openly stated on numerous occasions in interviews that at this stage, because of how good France are, Martial's not even good enough to get into that squad. Now, that's his opinion as a Frenchman. Has zero dogfight in the Martial FC versus Jose FC debate. But you've got these two players, Lacazette as well, class player. Neither of them getting anywhere near the squad for a couple of years, really. They get their opportunity to be back in with the French side, to go out there and play, to fight for a place in this squad, and they pull out. Now, let's just say, they're both injured, and they can't help it. But we kind of both know in less than 5 days' time, they're both going to line up for their clubs, and there's not going to be a single sign of an injury. And you think, hang on. And then when qualifying starts for France, and Martial's left out and Lacazette's left out, you're going to get all the salty Gooners and the salty United fans. Oh, why ain't they in the squad? Yep. Why ain't they in the squad? It's the manager's fault. It's this person's fault. They won't look at the players who have gone, maybe, you know, I've got a little dead leg and I'm going to pull out of an international team here. And that's the thing for me.
And we're going to go into it. But then you look at people like Wayne Rooney, who we know played for England through injuries. Like some tournaments or some games, I don't think he ever turned down a national call-up. Wayne Rooney, not that I can remember anyway. And it's that dedication that managers will look at and say, well, this guy actually wants to play for us. Not that I've got a little knock and I'm gonna pull out. So I don't know. It just seems like is the Nations League the way that it's gonna bring a bit more, I won't say loyalty, but more dedication, more atmosphere, more seriousness about these international breaks? Or are we just simply waiting for, you know, 2 years down the line when we get a World Cup, or 2 years later when we get a European Championship?
Well, is the Nations League completely replacing World Cup qualifiers?
No. At the moment, the Nations League is a tournament by itself, but the winners or the top 4 of each league, so you have like 4 leagues, A, B, C, and D, and the top 4 of each league, which consists of about 12 teams, they automatically qualify for the World Cup, no, for the Euros. But if they qualify through the normal qualifying process, then it goes down to the person below, something along those lines. Was it?
Yeah, I think they need to. I think you've got your question. It's very confusing how it actually impacts you for qualifying. I think they need to work out a way where it automatically qualifies you for the Euros, but you have to remain in there for a certain amount. They have to keep it competitive. Is I think what we said. We don't. International friendly is one thing I would say. I understand players pulling out of that because the games are played at 70% pace anyway. Yeah. And even if you are Martial in that situation and you want to go out there and impress the French coach and the French nation, if the rest of your teammates are running around at 75%, it's very hard for you to perform in that environment. I think competitive games are important. I think the Nations League needs to grow and it needs to develop itself moving forward. But
does that mean we're only going to get say a Brazil versus England? Are we only going to get that every 4 years?
I prefer it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's why I'm not in favour of this new European Super League they're proposing. Because right now, when you get Man United versus Juventus in the group stages, when you get the knockout games that we saw every year, amazing knockout games, I love it when you see the French against the Italians and the English against the Spanish, because it only happens between sort of February and May every year. Yeah. If that's suddenly become every weekend there was those major games,
it takes away the edge of it.
The novelty wears off. You know, if Christmas Day was every day, we'd all be bored of Christmas. You love it because it's one day. You love your birthday because it's one day. You couldn't take that type of holidays. All-inclusive holidays, amazing. If you were there for 2 or 3 months, you'd die actually of a heart attack. All the food you eat, but it wouldn't feel like a holiday. It'd be life. And that's the point. Some things need to be special. And England versus Brazil, for me, World Cup, that's where that should be. You know. Once we're in another semi-final or a final again, because, you know, we're one of the best teams in the world now.
Excuse me?
We are.
Kai, you were saying earlier that it wasn't Gareth Southgate saying it, was it?
No, it wasn't. I was basically reading on the way down here that they said 2 points. That first of all, England's in a semi-final of another major tournament, and I mean the Nations League isn't a major tournament. I mean
it's not. It's the League Cup of international football. It is the Carabao Cup.
It's the Europa League. And UEFA in it. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. No, but Europa.
But it's European.
I guess so. But
do you know what? Look, again, it's the home media in every country talks their teams up, and I think that we always.
But they talk about so much that if they lose, then they go, lambast about another major tournament.
but at least they're consistent. Like I always find if you're gonna heavily criticize people when they go wrong, you have to heavily praise them when it goes right. At least that's balanced. At least that equals itself out. If you're going to be proud of England and congratulate them with all the gusto they're getting at the moment, I think they deserve that, considering 20 years of absolutely attacking them. And, you know, look at some of the headlines when we've not qualified for tournaments. You know, managers' heads being turned into shapes of turnips. You know, the Wally with the brolly. You know, the Beckham effigies, the abuse Wayne Rooney's got before. So when you do that, I think I enjoy. I attack the media a lot, but I enjoy that balance to it. I do like to attack the media, but when I think all I ever talk about is fairness and balance, and it's like I used to talk about this with Wayne Rooney, and I got older and I realised he got a lot of attention and a lot of scrutiny when he didn't play well. But equally, when he was brilliant, he got lauded, and you got to take the rough with the smooth, I think, a little bit. But major tournament might be pushing it a little bit.
Just a tad bit.
But it is a competitive. It's an affiliated tournament. It's not like the. It's not like the. What was that thing that England won in '98?
Not the home nations.
No. It's bigger than the home nations things were. But there was. I want to say the Intertoto Cup is for clubs. There used to be a tournament in France.
It's not Toulon.
The Toulon.
Yeah. Is it Toulon?
Yeah, it's bigger than that kind of bit. It's bigger than that. Like that was the last thing. I think England won that, or they done well in that.
But
maybe.
But in the Toulon tournament now, it's just under 20s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, did it used to be?
Yeah, like England. I swear England played that just before the year or so before the World Cup. I swear they did. Anyway, like I was young then.
Okay.
I had no hair on my face. I don't know. But no.
Well, yeah, it's definitely not the Toulon. Well, I guess it's bigger than Toulon. Yeah, and hopefully it will progress. I think it will. I like it. When I heard about it, it was like, what is this? But the fact that you want to add more competitive football, I'm all for it. I guess it can be tweaked here or there. But the moment I heard competitive football, and I just said, when we watched the England-Croatia game, the atmosphere, especially, I would say, the latter third of the game after Croatia scored, there was a will for England to go on and win. Whereas if it was a friendly, you're not going to get that. Yeah. I guess some people still left early, but more like, oh, well, lose, it doesn't matter. It's only friendly. We're going to leave.
I think what's important as well, home. If you look at it from a domestic European viewpoint, when Real Madrid have a lot of European Cups, but half of them were won when that tournament wasn't even recognised as being something that was a major tournament. You've got to remember when Man United were the first English club to start pushing for it. You know, the reason that the air disaster happened is because they were forced to fly back because the FA had said that you'd forfeit your league game if you're not back in time for it. They weren't able to move fixtures like they do now for teams, like just to a Sunday or to a Monday, as an example.
There was no Sky Sports Super Sunday.
No, nothing like that. But then also, Man United were told by the FA that we're not really endorsing you being out there. The Champions League will never catch on. So the point I'm making is that right now, the Nations League, it's inaugural. We don't really know much about it, but why not get ahead of steam, win a couple of them?
If England win the first 5, in 50 years, they'll say they're the kings of Europe.
It could be huge in 10, 20 years' time, and we can say, well, look, we've got 3 of them titles. Win it when nobody else is bothered. Like that's what Real Madrid did. It's a bit like, of course, the disaster that happened to my football club, Man United, and your club, Man United. The loss of the lives are the thing you're sad about, but equally, in that team was so good, it could have won 3 or 4 over a 5-10 year period. Which, in terms of when you add up how many trophies you've got now, we've got 3, but we could have had 7 or 8 if we'd have kept that team. Because at that point, although that United team was amazing, there weren't as many teams or as good a teams in Europe as what you get now.
I think it was straight knockouts as well, pretty much.
Yeah, and they were one of the best teams, and there was less people involved in it. And again, that isn't disaster. I don't really overly think about anything other than the loss of life. But that's why I look at this as a good opportunity for England and other nations. Like the Netherlands are playing in it, and they look like a really, especially after a sort of barren few years for them. It's an opportunity for them to really assert themselves back on the stage.
And they've looked good. Memphis Depay.
And they've never, they've won. I think they've won a Euros. They won a Euros. They've never won a World Cup. There are lots of European teams. Okay, we could be one of the first to win this. We could be one of the first to. I think it's a good idea. Who knows? In 10 years, it might be. We might look back in 10 years and be like, do you remember that Nations League thing? But we could also turn around the other way and be like,
I was there when England won the first ever Nations League or something like that.
And more tournaments is good. Like I love the Champions League now from a club point of view, but I used to love it when there was the European Cup, the UEFA Cup, and the Cup Winners' Cup, and they were all considered big trophies. Yes, the European Cup outweighed them both, but not by the margin that you get now.
Yeah, UEFA Cup was a big trophy. At one point, it was a big trophy.
Because you had a team split, and you didn't have them. Now what you have is all the major teams in one. So you only get one opportunity of winning one major trophy, and the others, it's not worth it. At least now with the Nations League, if teams start taking it seriously, there's another opportunity to win success. And we know what winning trophies does. And we've seen great Man United teams. You've seen great European-sized, great international teams go on really good runs for 10 or so years, first of all by winning smaller trophies and by building up that confidence and that ability to win. And I think it's a good idea. And as you said, for me, much better than friendlies, regardless. Much better than friendlies.
Thanks to Kyle again for joining us here, and Terry from the Football Terrace. Make sure you check out the link in the description below. You can catch the Football Terrace, all their videos there, all our videos, and you can hear the full audio of this podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. The link is in the description. That's it from me, Neeks, here for your podcast, and I'll see you next time.